Yeah, I mean, I was really interested in web design and also at the time like CD-ROMs. I was learning Director and making CD-ROMs while I was at work for encyclopedias and stuff. But Dreamless was like this outlet for creativity, and there was a t-shirt design challenge on there for an event that was taking place in London, and I entered a design into that and I won. And I started Threadless just 1 hour after that. Um,
Really?
yeah, and it was just a thread on the forum. Like there was the
Ah,
name
wow.
Threadless didn't even exist yet. There was really I was just like that was awesome. It was felt so good winning that challenge. I'd like to continue making shirts. Like there were a lot of other great designs that were entered into that challenge. So I was just like post designs to this thread and I'll make the best ones into stuff that we can all have. And it was just a hobby,
Wow.
like my contribution to this community, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how I was gonna get the t-shirts printed. I didn't know how I was gonna charge people's credit cards. I didn't know how I was gonna ship them or anything. I just knew if people send in great designs for t-shirts and for prints, I'll figure out how to do the rest. And um, I did as I went. Started the company. My partner and I each put in $500, and about 800 of it was used to print that first batch of T-shirts, and then 200 of it was just used to get some advice from an accountant. And we learned that we could run a business as a sole proprietorship just through my social security number. So we really didn't spend much money on lawyer fees or anything like that to set up a business. We just did it as a sole proprietorship and got hit the ground running basically. Well, around this same time, the work that I was doing was building e-commerce websites. And one of the main sites I built is actually still around today. It's deepdiscountdvd.com. And I think we charged like a couple $100,000 for this e-commerce website we built at my job. And I was looking at this and I'm like, man, I'm building this thing single-handedly. I'm doing the design, I'm doing the development, I'm interfacing with their e-commerce system, like figuring out payment methods. And so I was kind of thinking if I had something I could sell, I could build the site for it. Um, and then this threadless idea kind of came along at the same time. So built the first website. I mean, in the beginning, it was very rudimentary. We were using Cold Fusion with an Access database, and when people would enter in their credit card number, we would store it like plain text in that database, and then use it was like 1-800 merchant account to dial up and charge people's credit cards individually over the phone. So, I mean, we just did what we could with what our skills were. I mean, definitely in the tech space, I feel like it's most beneficial to be able to code. I mean, actually, the last couple of days, I've been spending almost 100% of my time coding on our website today. I still do a lot of it, and
Really?
it's really good, like to have that ability to actually dig in and create your product. Um, Especially in our culture here, we're very much about making things and getting ideas out of our head and making them real. So I think it's important for people to have those kind of skills here. Oh, I think a good place to start now would be to do one of the programs like I think Code Year was something that just started up.
Code year.
Yeah, where
Right.
it's kind of like taking the challenge. I'm going to learn to code this year, and Code Year, I think it's codeyear.org or .com that has some great tools to easily learn coding. And what's cool now is that it's so much easier with modern web frameworks that exist, like Rails or Django. That before you were working directly with the programming languages and you had to do a lot of work, a lot of the groundwork yourself. But now there's these frameworks where you can build websites with just, 50, 100 lines of code, really. I mean, it's pretty amazing the access to tools we have now. Well, maybe like the culture that we have here. Well, I guess the main one would be our business model of how um, like the creation of products happens. You learn that a certain way in school, but since we're, I guess, the crowdsourcing model of how we ask our customers to create our products, and work with our customers to help us determine which of those products we should make. That's something that hadn't really been done before, and I definitely wouldn't have learned that in school. And I think I just assumed, well, that would be an awesome way to do things because, why would we make things if we don't even know if people want them before we make them? Well, I wasn't even thinking about it. I think the way I approached it was I'm surrounded by these amazing artists that I'm inspired by every day in this forum. They're creating these great things that just get posted to my screen and I can look at them and stuff. But I want to have these things. Like I want to be able to hang it up on my wall, or I want to be able to wear it as a T-shirt or whatever. So really, it was just born of like I'm seeing all this cool stuff happening around me, and I think it could be fun to do this. Yeah, I think that's also really important. Something that is important to me with my own kids' school is that the art program is very good. But I think everybody actually kind of like is born as an artist in some way, and then I think that's something that some people like lose along the way. Everybody draws with crayons when they're 5 years old. I don't know if there's any kid in America that doesn't do that, or creates things on some level. Like that's what it's all about when you're a kid. And I don't know what it is, like why or where it gets lost along the way. Maybe it's something to do with the school system. How I'm also a big fan of Seth Godin. He talks a lot about this, and he talks about art in a way that's not necessarily visual, not necessarily music. It could even be like an accountant is an artist if they have a way with numbers, and I think it's more about creation. But I do think it's really important for everybody to put a little bit of themselves into what they do, and I think that lines up with art a little bit, the appreciation of creation. I guess one of my biggest mistakes, I never really have been good with my finances, and luckily my wife now is amazing with finances. But like our third year in business, FedEx, we were shipping all our orders with FedEx, and we had it set up where it was attached to my credit card, so we would usually ship orders once a week. There'd be like 250 orders, and we would drop them off and they would charge $5, $4 individually for each package on my card once a week. And my card, I guess, had a limit of 100 transactions per day. So they process those first 100, they'd go through, and the next 150, each one would get declined, and FedEx would charge a $5 decline fee for each one, and they keep
Wow.
trying the same card. So every week I was racking up like thousands of dollars in decline fees, plus the postage that wasn't getting paid because it was declined. And the only notification I was getting from FedEx about this was our monthly bills, and I wasn't even opening those envelopes. Like
Oh my God.
this racked up for about 3 months, and then finally, like our FedEx guy just wasn't picking up our packages anymore. So I was looking into it, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And found out that we owe FedEx like $50,000 or something.
$50,000. Oh
And
my
this was
God.
when we were doing about 100,000 in revenue a year. So we were quite small and
Oh man.
almost destroyed us. But I was able to
I mean, fifty
negotiate.
thousand. That's like that's profit too. So
Yeah, I was able to negotiate with them down to get rid of the decline fees and just pay the postage part. But that was a close call there. And then
was
shortly after, my wife came on and managed all that stuff. Just started working at Threadless. It was just like an accountant that was I don't even remember. I think it was this guy that I used to work with, an accountant that he used. I mean, at this time, I was still filing my own taxes really through my parents, and just sat down with this accountant. He was like, "Yeah, you can just run this as a sole proprietorship. If it starts to take off, you can incorporate it or whatever." But I thought that it was going to be much harder to start the business, but sole proprietorship is a great way to you know, do it, be able to run a business officially, but without having to submit a whole bunch of paperwork and go through that whole process. And when you're small, like it seemed worth the risk to me. No, you know, it worked out pretty well. Everything really went smoothly with my wife, but my partner, we've had, you know, there's definitely been friendships that have gone sour through the history of Threadless, but there's a lot of friendships that worked out, I guess. I mean, there's people who have left Threadless that are really good friends of mine that I'm still really good friends with, but there's been some other ones that haven't turned out so well. And I guess, you know, every circumstance is different, and I think there is a risk, you know, in something going wrong when you are going into business, but there's also I still prefer, like, despite any of the bad experiences I had, I still really prefer working with people that that I can be friends with, because I feel like when you are there working during the positive time, it's really valuable to be able to connect with people and, you know, work really intimately together with others. The very first step was not thinking at all about it and just putting that post up on the internet saying, "I want to make t-shirts out of your designs." And what was great about that is I was kind of threw myself under the bus. Like, I think a lot of people are scared to start a business. I did the opposite, where I made myself scared not to start a business because I created this pressure for myself to do it by just diving in. And if I posted this thread on this forum and all these people submitted these designs and I didn't end up making the shirt, I would have felt a lot of pressure, like I failed, you know. And so then figured out local screen printer, figured out how I was gonna charge credit cards, built the first version of the website, um, and launched it. And I only printed I didn't have any expectations. I printed like 24 pieces of 5 designs, very small number of product that I knew we could sell. It's not like we're just gonna sit with those designs. And I also set up a separate bank account for all of that, the dollars from those orders to go into. And I said, I'm not taking a penny out of this bank account. And I didn't for the first 2 years. We got about 100 entries in the first challenge,
Wow.
and we did 5 of them.
So that's really good. 100 entries.
Yeah,
And was that a lot just posting in the community that you're already a part of?
yeah. So those 300 to 3,000. I'm not sure where it was at when I started Threadless on there, but um, it was invite only, that forum, and they were all really, really talented designers.
Right, right.
So it was all very high quality stuff at the time, and I guess for the audience. I mean, if you look back at the first 5 shirts, you might think otherwise. But one of them we still reprint today, and
Wow.
it sells really well. But I guess it's just I forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, well, we were really lucky to have those people to seed the challenge with.
Yeah.
As soon as after that first challenge, that's when it moved to Threadless, and that's where you submitted designs. It wasn't additional threads on the forum. So then it became not just those 300 people. It was also just anybody could come and submit. And whenever an artist puts together a design to submit to Threadless, they spend an average of like 6 hours on their design. They put it up there, and it's all based on how it scores. So they have a strong interest in telling everybody they know to go vote on it.
Right.
Some of those people end up submitting designs too, and it's been 10 years, so it's not like our growth was immediately, but there was a very strong snowballing that's happened of new people getting on, like a very organic growth early on. I think we could have simplified a few things even more. I mean, we do all our own order fulfillment right now, and we're not planning on changing that because we've gotten really good at it. But I feel like if I was going to start back over, I would focus all of our resources on the community-based design part of it, because that's what really sets us apart, and that's what our differentiator is. And I'd probably outsource a lot of stuff that we currently do in-house right now. I mean, I think at the stage of the company now, it makes sense for us to be doing that, but I think we could have been a lot leaner if we did it that way from the start. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll happen in different ways. So I think the way it's thought about now is mostly, crowdsourcing or user innovation or mass customization, those kind of things. Um, but I think the space that we play in is kind of unique. But there's a few others that are in it too, and Etsy's one of them, which is about um, looking at what people are doing in their lives anyway. Like Etsy crafters, after work they go home and make jewelry or plushes, or like designers, they go home and they draw, or like all bake. There could be cooks, that go home and bake bread, or lawyers that go home and bake bread, like all the basically hobbyists, right? Like, and what the type of crowdsourcing company that we are is we give you productive things to do with your hobby. Like if you're like, there's no specification for submitting a design to Threadless. It's just artwork. It's not like design the next Threadless logo for the next Threadless logo t-shirt. It's all artwork. Same with Etsy. There's no specification that they get. It's just like make something and sell it on Etsy. They're not saying what the something is. Whereas I feel like the category of crowdsourcing that we're not really involved in is like where it's like labor, where you're outsourcing your labor.
Right,
For your
right.
business. For us, it's kind of the way I think about it, at least, and some of the mechanisms are the same for these types of companies, but just the way you think about it is we're more like looking at what these artists are doing and figuring out how can we help them and bring opportunities to them and make what
That's
they're
really
doing more
interesting.
productive, that kind of thing. It's something that already exists. It's already happening, and we're just making it, shouting it from the rooftops.
Have
I
you
guess
read Have you read Daniel Pink's work about
yeah,
drive?
yeah.
Yeah. That came to mind when you were talking, is that there's these two different sources of motivation. One is, it sounds like intrinsic, where it's just you're already doing it on your own with no incentive and you're just providing people another outlet, versus in other ones where it's extrinsic and there's defined rewards. Is that a good distinction between it? Those two
Yeah,
things you talked about?
that's definitely a good way to think about it. And sometimes there can be overlap, like somebody may be extrinsically motivated to participate on Threadless, like they're not actually making it for themselves, they're making it because they want the $2,000. And
Right,
there could be
right.
people like on a logo competition website that actually really like making logos, and they're doing this instead of watching TV or whatever else they would do. Like it's something they get entertainment value out of. Um, but I just think that the people that we're building the company for are the people that are intrinsically motivated to do it.
For people that are thinking, that might be thinking about starting a business like this, but for another niche, do you think one is better than the other in terms
No,
of?
I think it's more like a reflection on the personality of the founder, too. I mean, yeah, like personally, I like this better for myself. This is what I'd rather be doing, but I can see somebody getting really excited about coming up with a way to outsource labor for certain things. Yeah, so I did have like I was actually really against logos on t-shirts specifically when I like in high school. I mean, I hated when people would just go around wearing like an Abercrombie shirt or a Gap shirt or whatever the brand is. Just wearing a brand on your shirt that's some multi-billion dollar corporation, and you're paying for that to promote them. Like I don't know, I never really liked that. And I always wore like there wasn't a lot of options for me to get art on shirts. I think the closest thing I could get was like a band, and I was okay with that, right? Like my favorite band, I feel like I'm actually supporting the artist, the person who's creating things, by wearing a band shirt. And I wanted to change that. I didn't think that it would be as meaningful as what we've built here, but it's something that I was really excited about, and I still am today. Like making the things that we buy, like more attached to the people that create them rather than being about the corporation. But I certainly don't have a problem with business. I mean, I think that's fine. Yeah, and I also I guess marketing too, there's certain parts of it that I don't like to force people to come to my brand. Like we do a fair amount of advertising right now, but we didn't for the first 8 years we were in business. And the only reason we do now is because we can do so in a relevant way. Like when people are looking
Interesting.
for a red t-shirt with a Band-Aid on it or whatever it is, we can say, hey, we have that. We're not saying like, oh, you're looking for Altoids? Would you should buy this T-shirt? You know. Uh,
Yeah.
it wasn't that I was necessarily short-term focused. It was more that I did have a little bit of like an egotistical vision that I could do, but it was more about I felt like I could do anything. Like I could be a
Hmm.
police officer if I wanted to, or I could be, whatever it is. But it was more about finding out that thing that I wanted to do. So that's why I was always trying different things. I I almost quit school right before starting Threadless to go become a rafting instructor in Colorado during the
Really?
summer and then a ski instructor during the winter. And yeah, it was more about just getting out and experiencing things and figuring out what it is I want to do because I felt like I had that ability to do anything. I just had to figure out what it
Hmm.
was.
I like that as an overarching principle. So, either way you look at it, that confidence and the belief that you can do anything that and be successful at it, is critical.
The idea is still the same today. Our slogan is called "Make Great Together," and the way I describe our vision for what we had when I started the company is I like just say I just wanted to make cool stuff with my friends, and like it's very simple the vision, and it hasn't changed much at all. So it was an easy thing to get people excited about. Just start talking to people and be like, let's make something together. Let's collaborate. If you have an idea, post it up, and maybe we'll make it.
And just kind of paraphrasing what you said, I feel like sometimes people go into too technical of an explanation,
Hmm.
and it seems like yours was really out of this knowledge of like at a core level, like what really motivated that community as well. You didn't make it like, oh, we have a. You probably weren't even using the word crowdsourcing or making it
No,
complicated.
in fact, that word was created in 2004, like 4 years after we started. Um, but I mean, social web was a lot different back in 2002. I mean, there was no Facebook or Twitter, and um, pretty much the only communities were on forums, at least that I was aware of. Um, and I think like AIM was pretty popular around there, AOL Instant Messenger, and it was basically just sharing links with each other. And that's still all it is today. I mean, there's better tools in place, but what really gets people to spread the word about things is having an awesome thing to talk about. I mean, it doesn't take Facebook to spread the word, right? I mean, before the internet, there was phones. If something amazing was happening, you'd call up your friend and tell them. Um, so it's more about creating something worth talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a pretty big believer in you build your own luck, and I'm I, right now I'm really on this kick of like getting ideas out of your head. I think Einstein, or not Einstein, it was Edison that said, and he's like the most, I guess, iconic person talking about ideas there is.
Yeah.
Said that ideas are hallucinations or something like that until you get them out of your head. Um, so I like to take the first step and just start making it. Like I
But
just gave a talk at a TEDx event for this, and some examples I used were like, if you're going to write the next great American novel, are you going to write the whole thing, have the whole thing thought out in your head before you start writing the first sentence?
yeah.
I think it's good to just start getting it out and making it real. Yeah, I mean, I think part of my thinking process there early on is another benefit of ignorance. Like I never had a credit card till I was like 23. I didn't even understand the concept of being able to spend money that you don't have. Like I don't know, my parents raised me that way, I guess, and
Hmm.
they never, we were never like way in debt. And I don't know, I just thought like I can't just make a whole bunch of t-shirts and not have money to do that. Like the t-shirt printer won't just make them for me for free. And so that's why it had to actually like I don't know, it's common sense for me a little bit. I don't think I would actually ever um, start a company on venture capital or anything like that. I think I would put a lot of effort into building it to be profitable from day one, and with a very small amount of upfront capital. Like I don't know. I mean, unless you're building airplanes or something that I mean, there's tons of businesses that obviously need it, and I'm not like advocate against it really. It's just my own personal way of um, doing it. It makes the most sense to me to sell something that you can earn enough money on to keep doing it without having to borrow and go through that whole process. I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot of ideas for new projects and stuff. I am really enjoying Threadless right now. Like, I don't have any immediate plans to exit, but um, if I were to do something new again, obviously, if I exited Threadless, I'd probably have a fair nest egg to work from. But um, I would still start extremely small, and I would have zero expectations for what could come from it. We've started many companies under Skinny Corp, which is the parent company to Threadless, that have
Yeah.
failed.
Interesting.
And so there's no, like, I don't have this delusion where if I left Threadless and started something new, it's going to turn into something as amazing as Threadless was. But I would approach it from the same, like, core value of creating something that is a benefit to like artists really. I think
Yeah.
I'd still want to stay in that space and maybe even look to see what can we do even more for artists than I did with Threadless. And maybe it's not even like maybe it can't happen. I don't know, but or it won't be as big as Threadless was, but it'd still be a lot of fun to do. I wish I could walk you guys around here. It's we've always had really interesting office spaces. Right now, we've been in this building for about a year. It's an old FedEx distribution center, and it's like a full city block that's fenced off, and there's so much fun that we have here. We have a big atrium in the front that's just filled with random things. We make a float for a parade every year, so our last 2 years floats are in the atrium, and we're working on this year's right now. Yeah, we're always just about um, making things. We collaborated with this startup craft brewery here in Chicago called Finch's. So we worked on a beer with them, and we have now a Threadless IPA that's sold in Whole Foods, and we have kegs of it down there. And like everything that we have here is kind of like a result of us doing it ourselves. We didn't have like a architect come in and define our space. What we did is we moved in here, had our desks, and we had a department contest where each department designed out their space, and then the winning department got a prize. So the walls are all painted different depending on what each department did. It's very fun. We named all of our conference rooms after Threadless designs, and this one's called Cookie after Cookie Loves Milk. So this is like a cookie behind me, and there's kind of Cookie Monster's fur painted all over the wall. To create more opportunities for artists. So I think one thing that we've done really well over the last 10 years is, design for t-shirts. But I think our community is capable of much more, and we can offer them much more, you know. So we started dabbling into other products, and then we've also started working with partners more to distribute those products in different places. Um, so yeah, like our two major things are printing on more products other than t-shirts and then distributing through more channels. Yeah, I think the best way is to look at your business and figure out what makes you unique, what makes you different, and hone in 100% on that. And I think what ours is the community-based design process, where we have this worldwide community of people coming in and submitting thousands of designs every week. Um, and so it's about the platform. I don't think like printing and selling t-shirts is especially unique. I don't think shipping them ourselves is especially unique. I don't think even the e-commerce side of our website is especially unique, but that participation of community of artists in the whole process, that's what we want to focus on, and I think that's what we can leverage for against other products and partners. Yeah, I think we did start in the very early days with prints too. So it was t-shirts and posters.
Uh-huh.
And I think the reason why we've focused so much on t-shirts is because it's so easy to make. There's local screen printers everywhere. They're cheap. You can sell a fair amount of them. Like people don't really have too many t-shirts. Whereas you only have so much wall space for a print and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So whenever we tried to get into other categories, it's been hard for us to compete with our own product, the t-shirt. And I think
Interesting.
it's mostly because the frequency of releases and the depth of product that we offer with t-shirts. We have thousands of t-shirts available. And we come out with new ones every single day. And for us to then enter into a new category, maybe we'll do like 12 backpacks in one quarter, and it's just hard to compete. There's definitely a place for both. I think every entrepreneur should try to bootstrap as much as possible. If it's just not gonna be possible, then I think you should. I don't think you should not do your business. I think you should go after it and raise the money. But just be really careful about it and what it means. I mean, those investors are going to need to make a return on that, and eventually, like if this is something you want to do long term, eventually you're going to have to do some kind of event to
Right.
get paid back, and that can be very difficult to, like, you could really want to keep your business and not be able to. I mean, I've thought about it I guess, in talking with other startups and why they choose to raise it. I just don't think that's really made a lot of sense for us. I think the I guess the thing that's most valuable to us isn't capital. And like, I guess the thing that's most valuable to a company trying to compete with us, like you could raise $100 million and be wanting to compete with us, and it'd still be very difficult because of the how difficult it is to build an artist community. Um,
Right, right.
you can't just buy that, and you can't buy their trust, and you can't. I mean, sure, you could probably get a lot of people to participate if you put up a $1 million prize or something, but the kind of loyalty and respect that we've earned from our community of almost 200,000 artists is not something that's easy to compete with, no matter how much money you have. I guess that probably goes back to the curiosity I've had and wanting to experience things and just go on adventures and make things. Like, I don't know, I had a really great connection with that book. And what's funny too is it's very like, there's lots of drugs in that book. And I've never even tried a single drug. Like, I have never even tried smoking a cigarette, even. Um, and but I still just really connected with that book. Like, just um, I don't know what it is. It's just seems like a whirlwind. So I guess one of my favorite things um, about running the business over the years is like whenever I'm in a meeting and things start getting really creative and people are throwing out crazy ideas for what we should be doing, I feel like the idea that somebody says and everybody in the room laughs at because it's impossible to do and it's just ridiculous is the thing that you should do, should strive to do. And I get that vibe from that book, I guess, where it's just they're like throw everything out the window. We're just gonna do this because it would be awesome. This I really liked. It's written by the founder of Patagonia, and I love how he's run that business over the years because it's so true to why he started it in the first place. And it's like every product that they make, like jacket or backpack or whatever it is for the extreme, like expert user who's going to go out and climb some crazy mountain with it or, go climb Everest. That's who they make their products for, even though that only represents like 0.1% of their customers. But it's that like exciting lifestyle or like reason why that company exists that gets those other 99.9% of customers excited to buy into it, to have that jacket or have, and I just really like that idea because a lot of times, we have all of our artist community that are involved in the site, but they represent a pretty small fraction of the people who actually buy shirts from us. But I feel like it can be hard to stay focused on the power user, when 99% of your customers aren't that power user. But
Hmm.
but you have to understand that that's why those customers are attracted to what you're doing, is because you represent the needs of the 1% power user. And I think the first time I got introduced to this idea was with The Long Tail, that book by, I think, Chris Anderson.
Yep.
But We Are All Weird is kind of the Seth Godin's take on it. And it gets it, I think, a big culture shift that's happening. We're coming out of a age now where everything was kind of mass produced for us. culture was mass produced. You know, like we all listened to the same top 20 albums each year. We all watched the same 5 network TV shows. We shopped at the same 5 stores in the mall. And with the internet and other things, like it's becoming much more distributed. The top selling album of all time was Michael Jackson's Bad, and that was in the 80s. It sold like 120 million copies. And I was looking at the charts for like last year, and you would have to combine the top 80 albums of last year to get those kind of numbers. It's
Wow,
much.
interesting.
It's all about like um, there's a bunch more niche markets, and people have access to all kinds of different things now, um, and a much wider variety of product. Um, so I think, we do well with that because rather than the traditional fashion model of releasing products every season, which is already kind of being changed by places like H&M and Zara and stuff with fast fashion, we come out with new products every week or now every
Uh,
day, and we have a huge variety of products. Like our brand doesn't rely on one style, because if you go to threadless.com/all, you can see every design we've ever printed, and you look at the shifts over the years. You can see styles changing, and you can see the variety of designs we've printed. Um, and I think it's really important to think of business that way, that you're not just like this one thing. You need to appeal to a whole bunch of different weird people. I think the one for one model is pretty genius. Every pair of shoes you buy from Tom's, they give a pair to a child in need. But what I also really like, I think it's the first company, and I'm sure there's been plenty of companies that do this, but the first for-profit company that has a very strong cause associated with it. And we do a lot of cause. We've done a lot of cause-based work over the years, but we hadn't integrated it into our actual business model until now. We actually have ongoing cause-based challenges through a program called Threadless Causes. But I saw him interviewed by Bill Clinton on some panel, and he went into depth about why he thinks it's better, like he's actually able to do more good as a for-profit business than he would be able to do as a non-profit business. And I found that really inspiring and interesting.